In 2004, Blockbuster did not look like a company in danger. It looked like an empire. More than 9,000 stores, tens of thousands of employees. A blue and yellow sign glowing in neighborhoods all over the world. To millions of families, Friday night meant one thing: go to Blockbuster, grab a movie, and make it a ritual. But then the same store starts aging and fast forward. The neon flickers, the parking lot empties, the paint peels, weeds break through the concrete. The empire that once felt permanent becomes a ghost. By 2010, Blockbuster was bankrupt, crushed under debt, and a business model that no longer worked. Today, the company that once dominated home entertainment has been reduced to one famous remaining store in Bend, Oregon. The king of movie night became a tourist attraction. The popular story is simple. Blockbuster ignored the internet. Netflix understood the future, and the dinosaur died. But that version is too clean, too easy. The real story is stranger, messier, and much more useful. Blockbuster did not fail because nobody saw technology coming. It failed because the company saw pieces of the future move too slowly, fought itself internally, protected the wrong profits, and ran out of financial oxygen right when it needed to transform. To understand the collapse, we have to go back to the beginning. Blockbuster was not founded by a Hollywood legend. It was founded in 1985 by David Cook, a businessman from the Texas oil and gas world who understood databases better than movies. That detail matters. Cook's real advantage was not cinema taste. It was logistics. He understood that a video store was not just shelves and tapes. It was inventory, demand, tracking, customer behavior, and data. Most mom-and-pop video stores were small, messy, and limited. Blockbuster was different. Cook used computerized barcodes to track thousands of tapes and match store inventory to local neighborhoods. In a world before streaming, that was a serious weapon. Then Wayne Huizenga arrived and turned the idea into a machine. He applied a ruthless franchise mindset, expanded aggressively, and began swallowing competitors. Blockbuster did not politely enter the video rental market. It rolled over it. By the late 1980s, Blockbuster was opening stores at a ridiculous pace. Almost every day another location appeared. The formula was simple: huge selection, bright stores, family-friendly branding, and enough new releases to make smaller competitors look outdated. Blockbuster became more than a store. It became a habit. Families walked the aisles, couples argued over comedies or thrillers, kids begged for snacks. The company owned the physical ritual of choosing entertainment, but hidden inside that ritual was a business model customers hated: late fees. You rented a movie for a few dollars, but if life got busy and you returned it late, the meter started running. By the year 2000, late fees had become a massive revenue stream. Hundreds of millions of dollars flowed in from customers who forgot, delayed, or missed the return window. For Blockbuster, it was easy money. For customers, it felt like punishment. This is the first major trap. The thing customers hated was also one of the things the company loved. And when a business becomes addicted to a revenue stream that makes customers angry, the future starts quietly looking for a replacement. That replacement begins with Reed Hastings and Netflix. The famous story says Hastings got hit with a $40 late fee after returning Apollo 13 late. Whether the story is polished mythology or perfect truth, the business insight was real. People hated being punished for renting movies. Netflix attacked the pain point directly. No late fees, monthly subscription, DVDs by mail, no need to drive across town, no pressure to return the movie by midnight. It was not just a new technology, it was a better customer promise. At first, Netflix was not a giant. It was fragile, small, unprofitable, deep in debt. In 2000, Netflix went to Blockbuster with a proposal that now sounds insane: buy us for $50 million. The meeting was humiliating. Netflix proposed running Blockbuster's online business, while Blockbuster kept the stores. But to the executives in Dallas, the startup looked like a joke. Two internet guys trying to sell a money-losing DVD mail business to the king of video rental. Blockbuster said no. And in that moment, the company did not just reject Netflix, it rejected the chance to own the bridge between physical rental and digital convenience. It forced Netflix to survive on its own. But here is where the myth gets interesting. Blockbuster did not simply sit still forever. Eventually, it did see the threat. And for a brief moment, it built something that genuinely terrified Netflix. The weapon was Blockbuster Total Access. Customers could rent DVDs online, receive them by mail, and then return them to a physical store for an immediate free exchange. That hybrid model was dangerous because Netflix could not copy the store network. For customers, Total Access was powerful. You got the convenience of mail plus the instant gratification of stores. In a world before streaming fully took over, that combination almost turned Blockbuster's old weakness into a competitive weapon. Netflix started feeling the pressure. Blockbuster's subscriber numbers surged. The giant that had laughed at Netflix was now chasing it with a weapon Netflix could not easily match. But the weapon had a hidden cost. Every free in-store exchange created logistics pressure. The more customers used the feature, the more expensive it became. Blockbuster was gaining ground, but bleeding money while doing it. This created the central conflict. The strategy that could beat Netflix hurt short-term profits. The strategy that protected short-term profits weakened the fight against Netflix. Blockbuster had to choose between tomorrow's survival and today's earnings. Then Carl Icahn enters the story. The activist investor buys into Blockbuster and attacks management over the money being spent. From his view, the company was lighting cash on fire. From another view, it was paying the price of transformation. The boardroom turned into a battlefield. John Antioco, the CEO pushing the digital fight, was forced out. The next leadership team moved to stop the bleeding. Total Access was weakened. The killer robot started shutting down from the inside. That is the tragedy. Blockbuster had a real counterattack. It had brand recognition, stores, customers, and a hybrid model that scared Netflix. But the company could not agree on how much pain it was willing to take to survive. And while Blockbuster was fighting itself, the world around it was changing faster. Broadband improved. Streaming became more realistic. Redbox offered cheap kiosk rentals. Customers were learning that entertainment did not have to live inside a store. Blockbuster was not only battling Netflix, it was battling time. Every year that passed made the store network less powerful, the debt more dangerous, and the customer habit weaker. Then came the Hollywood problem. For years, Blockbuster had benefited from special payment terms with studios. They could stock stores with new releases and pay later, using future rental revenue to support the machine. But when Blockbuster's debt piled up and confidence weakened, the studios got nervous. They did not want promises anymore. They wanted cash up front. That single change hit Blockbuster like a trapdoor opening under its feet. The company suddenly had to pay huge amounts of cash before rentals could generate revenue. The model that helped build the empire now worked in reverse. Inventory became a cash drain. This is what people miss. Netflix did not walk in and knock over a healthy giant. Blockbuster was already carrying debt, fighting investors, losing customer trust, weakening its own digital strategy, and getting squeezed by suppliers. So no, the real story is not simply that Blockbuster ignored the internet. The real story is that Blockbuster was trapped by the economics of its old success. Stores, late fees, franchise expectations, debt, and Hollywood terms all pulled it backward. That is why disruption is so dangerous. The new competitor does not need to beat your entire business at first. It only needs to attack the part customers hate most. Netflix attacked late fees and inconvenience. That was enough to start the crack. The first lesson is simple. Never build your business around customer pain. A hated fee can make money for years, but it also creates a giant opening for someone else to win customer loyalty. The second lesson, innovation is not optional just because the old model is profitable. In fact, the more profitable the old model is, the harder it becomes to let go. That is the trap. The third lesson, boards can kill strategy. A company can see the right move and still fail if leadership cannot tolerate the cost of change. Transformation usually looks expensive before it looks obvious. The fourth lesson, debt reduces flexibility. When you need to pivot, cash gives you options, debt gives you panic. Blockbuster needed room to reinvent itself, but its balance sheet was already heavy. The fifth lesson, physical scale can become a liability. The same store network that made Blockbuster powerful became a burden when customers wanted convenience without driving anywhere. And the final, Blockbuster's executives were not cartoon idiots. They had data, they had customers, they had stores, they even had a serious digital counterattack. But they were trapped by incentives that made the future look too expensive. Meanwhile, Netflix had fewer assets, fewer stores, and fewer reasons to protect the past. That made it fragile, but it also made it free. It could focus entirely on what customers wanted next. That is the real difference. Blockbuster was trying to defend a kingdom. Netflix was trying to build a bridge. And in business history, the bridge often wins because customers do not care about your kingdom. They care about convenience. So the fall of Blockbuster is not just a story about movies. It is a story about every company that becomes too comfortable with the thing that made it rich. The moment the market changes, yesterday's advantage can become tomorrow's weight. Blockbuster's story is painful because it almost had the pieces: brand, customers, stores, cash flow, a digital response, a chance to buy Netflix, a chance to fight back. But almost is not enough when the world moves faster than your balance sheet. And that is why they ignored the internet story is too simple. Blockbuster did not just miss the future, it argued with itself, protected the past, ran out of cash, lost supplier trust, and gave its best rival enough time to escape. In the end, Blockbuster became a warning label. Not because it was small, because it was huge. Not because it had no customers, because it had millions. Not because it had no chance, because it had chances and could not convert them. That is the brutal truth of disruption. It does not always beat you in one punch. Sometimes it gives you warning after warning. Then one day the store's empty, the lights are off, and everyone pretends the ending was obvious. So the next time a company looks invincible, ask the uncomfortable questions. What revenue stream do customers secretly hate? What old profit is management protecting? What new behavior is being dismissed as a niche? And what would happen if the future arrived faster than expected? Because Blockbuster was not destroyed by one bad decision. It was destroyed by a chain of decisions that each made sense in the old world and became fatal in the new one. That is how the Friday night giant collapsed. Not because people stopped loving movies. They never did. They just stopped needing Blockbuster to get them. What do you think? Was Blockbuster killed by Netflix? By its own late fees? By boardroom politics? Or by a business model that could not survive the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. If you enjoyed the story of why Blockbuster failed and Netflix took everything. Then you'll love the story of how Warren Buffett became the world's greatest investor. Click the video on your screen now. I'll see you there.